Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Bloom Through Faith. This is Diamond. Thank you for returning back to the channel. And if you're new here, thank you so much for joining us. Today, I will be introducing a new segment on my channel that will be Storytime with Diamond, or Storytelling with Diamond. And right now, what feels most touching on my heart is talking about death and the concept of death, but from a lens of introducing it through children's books. So I felt this huge calling and this want to begin to provide education around these topics of grief and loss and death and sitting with our own mortality. I recently had the beautiful opportunity of attending a end-of-life doula training with Anelda. I finished it up on February 20th, and so now I'm an officially trained end-of-life doula, or end-of-life companion. Um, there's so many different maybe names that one can call themselves, but essentially, yes, an end-of-life doula. And that is a person who provides non-medical support in forms of comfort, education, companionship for those who have recently been diagnosed with a terminal illness, who is close to death, and also for those who maybe just considering and wanting to pre-plan for their own mortality. So again, we provide education. We can also provide resources in the community that can also be helpful within um, with emotional support, as well as like legal services. So we're able to provide those who are dying and those who need support within their inner circle with finding resources, as well as just being a companion and really being able to assist people with um, their autonomy and their independence in that journey, as well as providing um, ways in which people can openly talk about how they're feeling in regards to their last days and their last wishes and what they may want their visual to look like, what they may want, who they may want there, who they may want in the last moments, in the last hours, in the last month of them being, on the earth plane before they transition. So talking with them and providing options for really, really just being able to be heard, being able to talk through the different, whether they want to be cremated, if they want to go into hospice, do they want to die at home. So just a lot of different, talking with them through a lot of different options of end of life, as well as maybe what they want to leave behind as memories, or certain like end of life projects or legacy work, remembrance work for their loved ones, or for their communities, um, or if they have children, or things of that nature. Yeah, so there's so much that we provide, but ultimately, what I like to think of an end of life doula being is just someone that is there as a guide to walk the person home to themselves, right? Like, we don't force anyone to feel any type of way. Um, just we witness and we observe and we listen, and that autonomy and really being able to hear what another is wanting is so, and what they need, right? And ensuring that those things are given to them is really, really imperative and essential. um, Yeah, so that's what I wanted to share there. And I have like the first book that I got from my nearby library that I will be reading today. But yeah, going back to what I was saying, for me, introducing it through the lens of a children's books, death, and from the lens of the children's book, um, can be really helpful, especially depending on the culture that you are born and raised, right? Because I believe that our societies and the countries that we're from and the certain beliefs that we grew up with or certain just cultural norms is what may be what informed how we look at death and how we experience it and how we sit with it in our bodies and within our emotions, whether we avoid it or whether we celebrate it or whether we find it an opportunity to be with our ancestors in an even bigger and greater way. Or again, if it's something that we completely don't talk about and that we shut out, we don't look at, we don't talk about it. Um, and I feel like with children's books, and especially when you're talking about this from like through speaking with children and with families, um, it is something that can be somewhat of broaching a taboo topic from a place of um, sincerity, but also a place of beauty, and also from inherently it being a matter of fact, right? Like when you think about children, they show up just how they are. There's no really like barriers. I'm talking about um, like from a certain age, right? A certain because at some point, yeah, children do change, and their ideas of the world and their ideas and opinions about certain things are then informed by those who they are live around or their environment or their school or teachers or things like that. But when you think about children when they're younger, right, it's very, oh, that's that. Oh, that the sun is yellow, duh. Like, or this is that, or it's very just like it's very blunt and it's very this is how it is. And yeah, I think just my experience through reading the children's books about this subject, it has been one in which um, it shows us that our finite being here, like our existence here, is very finite on this earth. And it broaches the topic from it being like this is inherent, right? Inherent when something is born or something comes into the world, or we birth something through creation. Inherently, there is going to be a process of when there is a let go, there is a release, there is a death, essentially. And those two things being birthed at the same time, being one just at the same time. Or when you think about a coin, like that life, that birth, that new beginnings, and on the flip side, it being release, it being letting go, it being sacred goodbyes. Um, so yeah, that's what I wanted to share on that, and I hope that whoever is the audience of our book reading together, of our book club, that you find something that touches your heart. And I invite you in the comments to share about how the book landed with you, or if there was something specific that came up for you, whether emotionally or just an idea. I would love for you to share it. And I would love for you all to like and subscribe and to really be here and engage, so that, when I do, because I plan to post these weekly, so when I do upload a new video, it'll be the same day each week. And if you're subscribed, um, it helps you be able to be notified through YouTube that I have uploaded, and you'll be able to be there and to listen to the book and to relax. And I invite you to think about your own mortality. Maybe not from a place of like fear or scaredness, but if those things come up, that's okay. Like, it's okay for that to come up. Um, but I invite you to get curious on what your life or what things in your life have been an impact for you. Who has been an impact? What were big moments in your life? What were moments that changed, that were life changing, that were inspiring? And what is important to you? And what is important to you right now in your life that you would want to be remembered by? Or are there things in your life or people in your life that you feel would be a part of that inner circle of like trusted uh, family, trusted friends who you would want by your side? Um, and yeah, you don't have to think so much of like what would I want? How would I want my um, funeral to be, or how would I want to be in a casket, or that, like, you don't have to go so much into that. You can if you like, if that's what naturally progresses, but um, just invite you to get curious as we read. And yeah, I hope you enjoy the book. So let's get started. It's like almost 12 minutes in. So this book is called Duck, Death, and Tulip by Wolf Elbridge. For a while now, Duck had a feeling. Who are you? What are you up to, creeping along behind me? Good, said Death. You finally noticed me. I am Death. Duck was scared stiff, and who could blame her? You've come to fetch me? Oh, I've been close by all your life, just in case. In case of what? Said Duck. In case something happens to you, a nasty cold, an accident, you never know. Are you going to make something happen? Life takes care of that. The coughs and colds and all the other things that happen to you ducks. Fox, for example. Duck tried not to think about that. It gave her goosebumps. Death gave her a friendly smile. Actually, he was nice, if you forgot for a moment who he was. Really, quite nice. Shall we go down to the pond? She asked. Death had been dreading that. Before long, Death decided that he had his limits. Forgive me, he said. I really must get away from this damp. Are you cold? Duck asked. Shall I warm you a little? Nobody had ever offered to do that for Death. So you can see Duck is warming Death. Duck woke first, very early in the morning. I'm not dead, she thought to herself. She poked Death in the ribs. I'm not dead, she quacked, utterly delighted. I'm pleased for you, Death said, stretching. And if I died, then I would have been able to sleep in, Death yawned. Then I would have been able to sleep in. I don't know what maybe voice Death would have. That wasn't a nice thing to say, thought Duck. For a while she refused to speak, but soon she was chattering again. Some ducks say you become an angel and sit on a cloud looking over the earth. Quite possible. Death rose to his feet. You have the wings already. Some ducks say that deep in the earth there's a place where you'll be roasted if you haven't been good. You ducks come up with some amazing stories, but who knows? So you don't know either, Duck snapped. Death just looked at her. What shall we do today? Death asked. Well, let's not go back to the pond. Let's do something really exciting. Death was relieved. Shall we climb a tree? Death is smiling. They're both kind of smiling. They could see the pond far below. There it lay, so still and so lonely. That's what it will be like when I'm dead, Duck thought. The pond alone without me. They're up in the tree. Death could sometimes read minds. When you're dead, the pond will be gone too, at least for you. Are you sure? Duck was astonished. As sure can be, Death said. That's comfort. I won't have to mourn over it when you're dead, Death finished the sentence. He wasn't coy about the subject. Let's climb down, Duck pleaded after a bit. You can start having strange thoughts in trees. It's almost like Duck is starting to maybe like avoid the topic a little. Summer was ending, and they went less and less often to the pond. They sat together in the grass, saying little, when a cool wind ruffled her feathers. Duck felt its chill for the first time. I'm cold, she said one evening. Will you warm me a little? Snowflakes drifted down. Something had happened. Death looked at the duck. She'd stopped breathing. She lay quite still. Death stroked a few rumpled feathers back into place. Then he carried her to the great river. He laid her gently on the water and nudged her on her way. I just want to pause here a little bit. One of the things I learned in my training was that how smart and how intelligent our bodies are, and how naturally the elements within our body, whether it's our muscular skeletal system begins to um, stiffen when you think about rigor mortis, or you just think about as we get older, and maybe it's a natural death, um, the bones start to, um, like the skin starts to sag, and um, people stop using their tongue a lot. There's less saliva, more secretions. Um, Breathing starts to be labored. hair doesn't grow as fast. It's just, and then also for some people, there's a natural not wanting to eat and drink anymore because they know there's a part of our consciousness that knows that we're passing away, and the body knows as well. And so it reminds me of how Duck in the previous page here, when she asks Death if he could hold her, if he could warm her up because she was getting cold, and she noticed what was happening in her body, and then eventually she was no longer breathing and she became stiff. So it's just, I think it's really, I like that they added this into the book, in a way where, again, it's just like it was a natural timeline, and there, I also see that that for some, right, like, death is not always this sudden thing that comes over us. Sometimes it can be like you're walking with a friend, like you know that it's coming, you know it's there. Okay. So we stopped at, he laid her gently on the water and nudged her on her way. For a long time he watched her. When she was lost to sight, he was almost a little moved. But that's life, thought Death. And this picture is interesting because it's a fox chasing a rabbit. And it reminds me of, like, the ecosystem and how there's prey and predators, and how death is there in between them, meeting a new friend, because he knows what will happen. So yeah, and that last part was interesting, right? Well, that's life, thought Death. It's very interesting and telling ending. So yeah, I just want to thank you all again for coming to Storytime with Diamond, and being in this space and watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. And I invite you to share it with someone if you felt that it touched you, or you felt that someone could benefit from it. I really invite you to share it with them, and and to comment if you'd like. Comment if there's anything that stuck out to you in the book, if you enjoyed the book, or if you didn't enjoy the book. Those are all things to notice and to be with. And I thank you. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next week. And if there's a time, you all can also share if there's a time specifically that works for you. I'd also be open to going live on YouTube if there, at some point, if that's also the call to do that, and we can figure out a time and the date. Maybe I can put that in the community forum. I think there's like a tab on here where I can do that. But I thank you all so much. Be well and take care, and have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day.